The Frame Center Podcast.
Okay, so welcome to the Frame Center Podcast. This is me, Dave, and Scott again, and today we are lucky enough to have a group from the Fourth Floor Art Association, or Fourth Floor Artists over in Rockland, are joining us. We got Brian, Drew, Rob, Jill, and Darlene. This is our biggest group yet, so bear with us, and we'll, hopefully this all works out.
Our first time over two people, so this should be interesting. So,
yeah, two hasn't been a challenge enough, so now we're jumping right to five.
Exactly.
We're not even going to try three. Yeah, so you guys have a big event coming up next weekend, the 29th and 30th?
Yeah, 29th and 30th, 12 to 5 p.m. You have, it's at the Sandpaper Factory in Rockland. There's going to be, how many studios? I think like 40 or so studios are open.
Jeez.
We're going to have 10 or 11 of us set up in the gallery. It's an art fair. There's going to be live music and food from some people in the kitchen there, Sweet Tahini and Mama Bees, and also Jenny D's Bees, who makes honey. She's going to have lemonade for sale.
Z will be there.
We're going to have Barrelhouse Z is going to be there.
Yeah, so the coffee too, right?
Coffee from Restoration Coffee. So
so
a lot of this is all that's kind of new territory for us, but I think we're excited to bring that into it.
You guys, it looks like you guys have been doing a lot lately. You had another event at that Barrelhouse Z?
Yeah, we did like a small kind of test market there, and it went well. Hoping to do some more stuff like off campus, I guess you could say.
Yep.
So that was kind of like a test run.
We're working on the same type of thing.
Yeah,
We've been kind of getting out and trying to get into people's studios. So we're looking forward to getting over towards, over to see you guys on the 29th and 30th. Get some pictures rolling around over there.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, it's probably good. You can only get so many people come to you. You got to get out.
Yeah, you got to
the streets.
too, right? Get out there too. So we're trying to see where we can be. That people want to come to us.
Yeah, you've been promoting like crazy on social media. I've seen it all over the place. Every single time I go home and turn to my Facebook, I see one pop up. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, we have our current social media person. She's really good. She's doing, reels and stuff all the time. And always taking pictures of people's work. And
that's important. It makes a difference. It really does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, how did you guys get the relationships with Restoration and with the Barrel
Really
House?
just asking them. And it's really nothing to it. Just, I mean, so me and...
Make a note of that, Scott.
Me and...
Just got to ask. Just got to ask.
Me and another member, Jason, who's Jill's husband, we did this thing in, was it early February? We just called it the Food and Art Night. And it was a gallery show where we had catered food that was made in the kitchen there, and drinks and art on the walls. People came. It was a one-night art show, and people came for a few hours and got a meal. And so I had originally asked them if they would be interested in serving, and it just didn't quite work out. But I was like, "What about open studios?" And they were all about it. So So I was happy to make that connection, and they're really supportive of a lot of community stuff, which is really good.
Yeah,
I saw the images from that night when you guys had the big eat-in. That was also quite fun. I was a little jealous of what I saw going around there. I'm like,
that was like, I mean, Jason was kind of like the one that spearheaded that. He really he was like the mastermind behind a lot of that stuff, but it went off really well.
Yep.
We had Gary Taft was the main chef involved with that. He's also a member. He's mostly a guitar guy, but he's also has a history as a barbecue chef. So he really pulled it off.
Man of many talents. Then
and he's the vice president.
He's our vice president.
Oh well, that helps. That helps.
Yeah. So, it was a great night.
Yeah, we were talking to Mary Gilmartin about that. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us tonight, but
she was part of that,
and she was telling us how well it went, and
it sold out.
Selling us,
really well
how fast that sold out too. I was like, I was still doing trying to help put promotions out for it to blast that, and it was like, well, I guess nobody's selling tickets, but they could, look at the pictures.
I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about it yet, but we're going to have another one that Darlene is taking over the art portion. So like for that one, I was kind of, I guess, I don't know, the art curator or director, whatever you want to call it. Like I coordinated getting the artists together. but I'm not going to do that every time. We have different people come in and do it. So Darlene's doing the next one. Yeah,
well, that's good. You get a different mix that way, a different vibe for each one. So each one is their own independent,
Nice you just sharing the headaches.
Yeah. You got to pass around the work a little bit.
So nice. Now, just a little bit about each one of you guys, because you're all artists, I assume. Rob, I've seen a couple of your pieces recently. I saw a piece of yours over at South Shore the other day, and then I saw the nice interactive piece you had.
You saw both of those? Cool.
Yeah, the James one was fun. That's kind of interesting.
I don't really know how to explain it exactly, but it has like a QR code next to the piece, and you scan it, and it loads a video on your phone. So, but the piece is, I do like mostly kind of illustration, cartoon stuff, and it's these cartoon fish that are running, and it's called Herring Run. And then so you scan the video QR code, and it plays an animation of them running.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm also an animator. That's one of my first, it's what I do for a living kind of thing. And then
your segue into the
doing on more, I don't know if you want to call it traditional art, but art, like not moving art, is
stationary.
Yeah, it kind of still stems from that a lot of the time.
Yep. That was an interesting piece. The QR codes are kind of like, I see those, they have like an interesting look to them, and then like to incorporate that, that art into the.
Yeah, I wish there was a way you could make it so that you could like scan the piece itself, like augmented reality kind of thing, but. I'm not that advanced yet.
Yeah, you get there. Right?
Give the tech time. 5 years, we'll probably have it up and running. So you guys will have full virtual tours of the fourth floor.
Rob also does these really great portraits, so you can have him custom make you
I think you were showing me those the other night.
Or even pet portraits.
Yeah,
there you go.
I've been trying to do a lot more of. Even tomorrow, I'm going to be at the Rockland Open Air Market at Art Stuff Park, and going to set up there, and that's mostly to do people's portraits.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a mix between a caricature and a portrait, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not like super goofy, but it's not realistic either.
Not full realism, but
it's like
exactly.
my own kind of version of a caricature, I guess you could say. But that's kind of like what I've been doing at these events. Like when I was at Bartlehouse, that's what I was mostly there to do, outside of promoting, but like what I was selling was the portraits.
Of people that came in and did stuff,
kind of like one-off things people can buy there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I was showing those to Scott the other day because I was thinking that we could use some portraits of some people around the frame center in somewhat animated form. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about.
We'll do a collab.
We'll do that off mic.
See if we can work. See if we can work out some sort of trade. Yeah, you're the market for some frames. Nice portrait of Elizabeth in exchange for it.
A little barter.
Hey.
So you're mainly an animator, Darlene. Are you still working mainly just with photography? Or are you all over the place?
I'm a little all over the place, but still doing photography, doing a lot of iPhoneography these days, because that's what
it's been popular.
The phone you have with you happens to be, when you take your pictures. So, but I do drawing and painting work and mixed media work, and at our open studios, I'll be primarily selling my funky trays, where they're collage work on a tray.
I was going to say, yes, please elaborate on this.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a process. So I get trays that are usually secondhand, but they're not dented or anything. They're secondhand. They get cleaned and sprayed and prepped and painted like a color, and then I create a design on the tray. And it's usually, got something to do with nature or floral, but sometimes it's food and wine or coffee or something. Yeah, because I want people to use them. And they're actually poured with a resin.
Yes.
So it's a 2-part resin that takes 24 hours to harden and dry, but it's pretty much impervious to alcohol or water. So they're meant to be used.
Yeah.
And if I really have it together, I put hangers on the back so people could hang it as art, or they can just use it.
And take it down as needed.
And take it, Sometimes some of them are small, like so people could put Jill's jewelry on there or something, right? You put your jewelry on the tray, or your keys or your money or whatever when you come in from the day.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they're actually serving trays. So they sell well at Open Studio, and they're fun because they all have a saying on them.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes the sayings are a little like sarcastic and sassy, and sometimes they're just, about life or nature or whatever. So,
That sums up the South Shore.
Oh, and they make nice gifts.
They
too.
do, yes.
I've bought several of them as gifts.
Do. You have a few in your collection.
We've seen a big uptake in art being sold and given as gifts, especially like during the last holiday season. We did a small art show up here and, all small pieces. So when you're giving them as gifts, it's easier to give to people. They don't have to have a designated hanging place for some jumbo 4x4 painting, but you said a serving tray, dish, a small piece. Very, very popular right now.
Yeah.
And giving something handmade has become... And something unique that nobody else has has become very popular again, which is nice. Yeah. So,
and how long have you been over in the Rockland studios?
Well, I'm not officially there in the sandpaper factory. Mm-hmm. I've been a member of the fourth floor artists since about 2016.
Okay.
Because before that, they actually didn't allow anybody outside of the Wright Building or the Sandpaper Factory to be a part of the organization. You had to have a studio there in the building. And that's kind of when things shifted. They allowed people that were outside the organization to join and be a part of it.
Oh, okay.
So I've been a part of it since 2016. But I was going to the open studios for more than that, way before that, every year.
How many spaces are in the building over at the Sandpaper Factory?
I don't know. Do you know?
70?
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's quite a few.
Well, our group, I know, is around 80 artists, but we're not all in the same building.
And
the
some
Sandpaper
of us
Factory,
aren't in the building.
The Sandpaper Factory itself, I think, has maybe 70, but it's not all people that are involved with. There's some aren't even artists. They just have like an office space or a business they run.
Yeah, right. There are businesses in the Sandpaper
Factory. Wright Building and Arnold Shoe Works over in Abington are the same way. Like it's kind of a mix between all kinds of different people that do different things.
Yep.
Still impressive.
Some people just like the rent is reasonable.
Exactly.
And so is there open spaces over there at this point? Or
at Sandpaper Factory?
Yeah.
I don't
I think it's pretty occupied at this point.
I don't think any of the buildings have open spaces. It's pretty tough. They have
hard to get in.
Not too long ago.
Is there a waiting list or anything for it? Or?
There is a waiting list.
There's a waiting list. Arnold Shoe Works has spaces, maybe?
I don't think they do, actually. No. I was over there.
Wow.
They did last year, but I don't think they do now.
I think they're full up, but I could be wrong. I mean, anyone who wants to should reach out to Alan Curtis.
Yeah.
I think they're full.
I called Alan a couple of days ago, was inquiring about space over there, and he said it was quite full at this particular point. But I gave him the dimensions that I needed, and so he said he'd get back to me.
We can blast his name and number across the street at the end.
Call now.
Exactly. 900.
Talk about the difference in types of members. It used to be like Darlene said, those people that you couldn't be part. I mean, I wasn't even involved at all at that point. I didn't join until 2019. So they had been allowing, I guess, for 3 years at that point.
Yeah.
But it used to be that there was like associate members who were not in the building, and there was like full members who were in the buildings. But now it's just one. We're all the same member tier or whatever. And so I don't have a studio there either.
Oh, you don't?
No.
No, Mary doesn't have a space there either. Right?
I don't believe so.
So that's
like
been a
nice
change,
garage.
I think. We have a lot more members now that don't have studios there than there used to be, partly because they're just running out of room in the buildings, and there's a lot more artists in the area than there are spaces.
So the benefits that come along with being a member would be having the space to show. Like, there's like a general space that they can show their work in.
Well, so like during open studios, we have space available for people that want to show work in the gallery usually, and people can set up there. And we also, as a member, you have access to the gallery, and any member can use it, whether they're in the building or not. They just have to coordinate that with the gallery coordinators. I mean, there's just being part of a group of artists is like a big benefit for, I think, a lot of us.
Yeah.
That's
It's a pretty tight community.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
it's a super friendly, really nice group of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
To have that many studios filled up all at one time, you're doing something right over there.
Yeah.
So.
Now, Brian, you said you were calling over someone. Now, do you have a space in there as well, or are you also?
I have a space over in the Wright Building. Yeah. And so I was, out of curiosity, was calling Alan, seeing if there's any space over at the Sandpaper Factory, seemingly because they seem to be doing more as an artist group than there would be at the Wright Building. It seems the Wright Building is moving more towards crafts. Yeah. And people are doing chair caning and other things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, plus I want to be closer to a group of artists, because there's tons of benefits. I mean, there's the encouragement.
Yep. Yeah, collaborative effort.
Talking about the future and, networking.
Yeah.
That whole thing is valuable to any artist group.
Yeah, and then what kind of work do you do?
I do abstract landscape work, and I generally work in series. And my work generally has to do with the travels I've been to, places I've been to. So there's a great deal of variety and colors in it. So,
very nice work. I have a Brian Adgate. Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I generally work with. If I visit a place, like it started out years ago, I'd spent some time in India, and I was working with colors and trying to get a feeling of India. And then I lived in Australia for 5 years, and that's a lot of colors in there. These kind of southwest colors, which are the same as Australia. These very umber roads and deep blue skies. Is really what I like to do. And then I just was working in a series of night gardens.
And how long have you been over at the Wright Building?
Well, since the fourth floor has split, in a sense, we all were together in the Codman Building, which was, I think, on Plain Street. And that was the founding of it.
How it all started.
Maybe about 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it was called the Fourth Floor Artist because was only available to us with the fourth floor.
The fourth floor.
I've often wondered about that.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask.
Yeah. And then gradually we took over the whole building. So we were there, and we left because the owner was in conflict with his sister, and she wanted to sell the building. Yeah. There were co-owners in it, and so the building was sold, and now it's condos.
Oh, well.
So we had to, split, and we found the two buildings. Some went to the sandpaper factory, and some went to the Wright Building. But we graciously remained together as a group.
Yeah,
it was wonderful.
Now, what size do you typically work in? Smaller scale, or do you vary depending on what the subject matter is?
I work, let's say, this size, like maybe 8 by 10. To start out with some sketches, some ideas, or work. I generally work oil on paper too.
Oh, okay.
So that's. Which is roughly about 20 by 30. And then if I think something is going to work out large, I'll go like 40 by 50 or 48 by 60.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Something
well,
like that.
When you were talking about Australia with the the Outback, you don't do anything small in the Outback.
No, you start out with the sketches and then go, hey, this is going to be big.
Yeah. Get that feel of grandeur there. But that's awesome.
An open space.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And Jill, you do jewelry. You're showcasing the piece
yes.
right around there now.
Oh, we'll get some close-ups of that.
And you have a space over it?
I do. So I have, I think I've been with the group since 2017. And I started, like Darlene, because I was visiting open studios just as, enjoying the art. And, I got to know the group a little bit. So I finally got on the waiting list and had a space at the E.T. Wright Building.
And that's where I met you.
Yes.
Because I was doing open studios and you were right there.
That's where I met all of you, except for you, Drew.
Yeah.
And I had this little teeny tiny
teeny.
closet. I called it the jewelry closet.
It was teeny.
Which was off the Gallery 4 at the time in the E.T. Wright Building. And it was a great starter space, and it really helped me to be around all the other creative people. But then I quickly realized I was running out of space. Because one thing that happens when you get into these creative locations with all these people is you get outside of your lane and I'm not doing just jewelry now. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, Darlene's going to show me how to make this. And, so I ran out of room.
Yeah.
So then I was trying to find a new studio in the E.T. Wright Building. And again, nothing was available. So I ended up moving over to the sandpaper factory. And honestly, it was a really great decision. I think I was in E.T. Wright for either a year and a half or 2 years. And then I made the jump over to sandpaper. And I got really lucky with my space because it happens to be on the fourth floor. I have beautiful open light. I get wonderful sunsets, which is great when you do glass work.
Oh, yeah.
And jewelry. You need good lighting.
Natural light is always better for...
Nice.
Yeah. My first little, studio had no windows.
It really was like a closet. She made it work.
Makeshift janitor's closet.
It's a dark room all the time, right?
Pretty much. Perfect for a dark room. But yeah, so it's worked out really well at Sandpaper Factory. I love my space. I love meeting everybody. And, you know, there are a lot of people that come and go in the building. So, you know, things do open up from time to time. And I'm always meeting new people in that building. I met somebody 2 days ago that's been there for 4 years. So, yeah, it's just everyone's sort of doing their own thing. And if you're in the fourth floor artists, you know, we obviously all know each other because of the events that we do. And
sure.
Stuff like
come
that.
Close group, yeah.
Are there artists over there that don't participate too, or they're you know, it's not like a...
It's not mandatory to be a member to have a studio, and we don't... Yeah, so there's other people that aren't interested in, you know, that, and that's, we don't, you know, make a problem of it or anything. You know, so
they're locked in their studios that have no windows. Her old space, right?
Well, actually, the Sandpaper Factory has another organization that's set up just as the pandemic was ending as a way to kind of get people in the building back into, you know, getting artwork out there and kind of coming back out again. So they started the Sandpaper Saturdays group, which is not the fourth floor artists, but there is a lot of crossover. So it really is, if you have a studio or a space in the Sandpaper Factory, you're eligible to be, if you're a tenant. So some of them are fourth floor artists, some are not. And that is basically an open house once a month. So it's the second Saturday, I think, of every month.
Second. Right, 2 weeks after Open Studios would be May 13th is when the next one is.
Right, yeah. So after Open Studios, May 13th, and then June 10th.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically the second Saturday. And it's a little different than Open Studios because some of the other non-artists are open. So you can kind of see some of the commercial artists or commercial businesses and see what else is going on. Yep. So it's really a good kind of mix, I would say.
Sounds like a farmer's market for art. I like it.
Kind of,
Yeah.
Good metaphor for it.
You know?
Yeah, we like food and art.
Yeah, food and art. They go hand in hand.
So there's actually like a kitchen space?
There is.
Yeah.
There are two, actually.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
2 commercial kitchens.
Is that used by like caterers or like or no? I mean,
I think it runs the gamut.
Yeah,
there's all kinds of people I think that use it. I don't even know most of them probably, but we have members that use it to make some of their stuff. But there's tons of people that use it for all kinds of food businesses.
Okay, so it's kind of like we work for kitchen staff in a sense.
Basically.
Like it's
they rent by the hour, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a bakery and there's some good smells coming out of it.
My husband cooks in there, so and he cooks hot sauce, so he's doing it late at night when no one's in the building.
Where is he at now? Sorry, that's right up my alley.
Pig barbecue.
Oh, okay.
Well, he'll be at the front door at he's the greeter for Open Studios.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He gets like the nice front seat for all that stuff. But he's prancing pig, and it's mostly hot sauces, but also
barbecue
rubs, barbecue sauce, stuff like that.
He's gonna
make good.
He's gonna make up some business cards that are just like ketchup packets that you just give out to. You can try it.
I like
free
that
samples.
idea.
I will pass that on.
That's a great idea.
The other one that I know uses a lot is Mama B's Tasty Treats.
Oh, okay.
Her stuff is really good, and she'll have some stuff for sale there as well.
Yeah, I'm sure after smelling oil paints, resins, and everything else all day, the smell of baked goods might be a nice.
You can definitely tell.
Once you work there, you smell nothing after.
Exactly, it's just all gone.
Right.
No, Jill, you said that occasionally there is some turnover over there. I know a guy who might be interested in getting himself on a waiting list. What would the process or?
Yeah, is there a contact form on the website?
Yes. Actually, if you were to look at our member directory, which comes out at Open Studios, which we thank Frame Center for sponsoring.
Yes, thank you very much.
You can see on the back page is information on how to reach Alan Curtis, who is the owner of the Sandpaper Factory and the Arnold Shoe building.
Oh, okay.
And you really just have to kind of get your name on the list, let him know what, like Brian said, what you need.
Sure.
And I think persistence is really the key.
Oh, okay.
So,
I mean, sometimes just going to the Open Studios or any events, sometimes you like get lucky. Like I know people like that right place, right time. They kind of like
know
somebody's going out.
Yeah, and they kind of work something out like that. So it does
Sometimes people share studio spaces.
Yeah, that's another way people get in with if they can share it, and then someone else moves out, and then someone has their own spot. Or some people like to share for like a long time. It works out. People, cheaper rent, and if you have a big enough space, it's good.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, so that way you're not having to share the load all together, and you may only need, like you said, a couple of tables worth of things to start off with what you're doing. But having that extra area to work would be nice too.
Yeah. So. The other thing that's good about the Sandpaper Factory, having talked to Alan, is that you don't have to sign a lease the last time. He said basically, you can rent from month to month. Mm-hmm. You're not tied in with a lease like you are at the Wright building.
Which is also nice too, because then you don't feel like you're tied to a commitment.
It's not that the place isn't popular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have no open spaces. So
that's right.
Well, with how prevalent art is on the South Shore, I'm not surprised you guys are filled up with how many people we've got coming in on a weekly. I hear at least somebody is from your group at least once a week in here. So
But Drew, you're new over there, kind of, right? You might have better insight into how that process works.
So yeah, it's interesting. I'm newer. I'm about 6 months into joining the fourth floor artists, and I've moved my studio to the Sandpaper Factory about 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. So the quick story is, I started contacting Alan about a year and a half ago now, at the end of like 21 or so. I said, I'm looking for space, blah, blah, blah. Left him a couple of messages, never actually talked to him. And then I called him about 6 months later, and he said, things are just really tight here. We're doing great, lots of artists and stuff. And then just kind of on a whim, he was on my tickler file on my calendar, and I called him like at the end of October of 22. He said, guess what? There's 2 things that are coming open.
Wow.
So would you like to come over and take a look? And I did. I looked at both, and I saw the bigger one, and I said, where do I sign? Yeah. That's what he said. No, you don't have to sign anything. Give me your firstborn child. And
exactly. Yeah.
But he said, think about it. There was no pressure. He told me very clearly that they probably would go quickly. Mm-hmm. And he was right. Anyway, so I put down a deposit and I moved in. So the other funny story, I think I was telling you, Brian, about it is that, so I moved in the beginning of November, and maybe you know this, Darlene. And so I spent the first about 3 weeks building my work tables, raising furniture, putting drop cloths, things like that. And then Open Studios came along, and I think one of you told me, or Alan, told me like 3 days before, Open Studios coming up. To make a long story short, so I had my studio open, I had my art up and everything. And I kept getting people coming in going, wow, your studio is so clean. Wait, where are the paintbrushes? And I said, well, actually, to tell you the truth, I haven't even picked up a paintbrush in the studio. So, I hadn't started working there.
Enjoy that clean thing. Yeah, right.
It's not clean anymore.
So, as a segue to what I do, my art process and style is very dirty. Actually, I throw paint, I fling paint.
It's fun.
I brush paint. Although, as I was telling someone earlier today, it's a controlled chaos situation. And my artwork, I guess you would characterize as abstract expressionist.
Yep.
And I paint the jumbo paintings. So my standard size is 5 feet tall and 4 feet wide.
Nice.
And then I trim it down to just inside of that.
But you don't limit yourself that way.
So I don't limit myself to that, but I kind of quote or requote Joan Mitchell, who was a famous abstract expressionist from the mid-century, 20th century. And somebody asked her, well, why do you paint so big and sometimes have, 3 canvases, a tricliffe right next to each other? She said, well, the bigger the canvas, the more, area there is, the more paint I can put on it. Mm-hmm. And I subscribe to that because I love color. Mm-hmm. I use a lot of fuchsia and orange yellow that I custom make, and blues, all sorts of various tints of blue. Mm-hmm. My art is really to back up. It's not a social statement. I don't go political. Sometimes I might be a little sarcastic, but abstract, it's all about, I want my art to have elicit a positive emotion in the viewer. Mm-hmm. For example, I had a client, she worked at Microsoft, and she had this, pied-à-terre in the hills of California, came down from Redmond for this apartment or condo. And she put my painting in her bedroom, and she said, Drew, it's so cool. I wake up every morning, I see the orange and blue. I just love it.
Nice.
And that was just such kind of a good feeling. I'm kind of tickled by it now that, I could have an impact on her simply, through art. So anyways, my art, I hope, it doesn't work for everybody, but it's definitely kind of a personal connection that people, I hope try to establish with my artwork. And like I said, when it works really well.
Yeah.
That's a great
Can I
thing.
ask you a question?
Please.
But I haven't seen your artwork yet. Do you have the canvas on the floor, kind of like Jackson Pollock kind, and work like that, or do you?
With his wife, who's also a painter, going, no, Jackson. No, not like that.
Yeah, get the cigarette butt out.
Exactly. That was part of the painting. There's a lot of Jackson Pollock, seriously, that have more than 100 cigarette butts.
Right.
And all sorts of who knows what materials.
Or do you stretch it first? Do you stretch it first, or do you?
So the question is, do I work on the floor and stretch it out, or?
Yeah, I mean, do you work on the canvas on the floor first, and then sort of edit it by stretching it, or do you stretch it first and then work?
It's an interesting question. Actually, what I do, to tell you the truth, is I have built stretcher boards and stretcher bars, and I stretch the raw canvas on that. I paint. I usually put it on the flat on my table, or one of 3 tables in there, and I paint. Today I was actually doing something that was vertical, but most of the time it's horizontal on the table, because sometimes I make them in batches, but I just make a lot over time. Then I take them off the canvas bars or board, and then I roll them or store them away. Or else I wouldn't have sufficient
run out of space real quick.
Yeah. Especially working at that size.
So anyways, that's one style. To keep it brief, my other style is what I do. I'm not a professional photographer in one sense, but I've sold a number of photographs. And I take photographs of all my artwork, all my mostly acrylic artwork, and then I digitally paint them further. And so I produce images, which then I have printed in limited editions on canvas and on fine paper. And a lot of times, to be honest, you can't tell what the genesis was, what the original painting was, that I may have also sold to somebody.
Yeah.
So I basically transform it digitally.
Yeah.
That's great.
Finding a section that you like, maybe of one area versus the entire.
It's not AI. It's not like an algorithm. Basically, through Photoshop and some other programs that I manually, with a mouse, kind of click my way through and try to add texture and, anyways, move things around. And then it's pretty cool. I can also reproduce those on, because I take very high resolution photos.
Scale them down.
Well, I can scale them down or I can scale them up.
Yeah.
I sold a couple of paintings to a family in Singapore, 5 by 7 feet, so I had to build special crates and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Ship them over there. So
Nice. Now, where do you show most of the work?
Well,
You represent
now
it.
one of the wonderful things, I am represented, but I can also, bring people confidently over to my studio and, walk them through, which is a very cool experience. I didn't tell any of you before, though. But just recently I had some gallery visits and people were like, wow, I got to go back to that guy's studio. And I think it was a guy and her and see glass and everything. I mean, people are like wowed when they walk through because we have artwork at the Sandpaper Factory all over the walls and sometimes the ceilings too. But in all seriousness, so people are kind of wowed by that. But anyways, to bring it back to me, so I'm fortunate that people can now see my artwork there, but I do have representation, mostly through a company called Satsi Art, which is an online gallery. And I've been fortunate and lucky with them. That's worked out pretty well.
That's good, yeah.
I was going to ask if you had good luck with them.
I have.
Yeah.
I have. I
Cool.
highly recommend,
Yeah. So I was
applying to
thinking
them
about
and-
using them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with them too.
You are? Okay.
Yeah. It's broken down into categories. There's a lot of artwork that's in there. I sold one painting that I never expected to sell it because a lot of times these people, they'll put paintings on there and they'll kind of lowball it to kind of sell it, and I'm thinking that painting should be worth more than what you're pricing it at, you know. But again, it's up to them. But they're a really good outfit because basically they called me, they got in touch with me and they said, there's somebody interested in your work. They made a deposit. So send them the painting. If they like it, we'll send you the money. So there's no gimmickry involved. So it's really,
Bitcoin or currency?
no, it is currency.
I always sell my bread. Exactly.
Yeah. Like
We do get a lot.
Excellent.
So it's really good outfit.
So the company, they kind of act as like an escrow, or in a sense.
Yeah, they keep it. Yeah, they keep it in escrow.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
they pay. The client pays. You bill out the painting.
And one of the things, well, if the painting doesn't look like what the fellow wants, right? You know, they have to sign off on it. So
They kind of guarantee the provenance.
Yeah.
If that's the right word. I mean, they guarantee the history of the painting.
Yep.
You certify it as an artist.
Yes.
We sign a piece of paper it goes with.
Yeah.
I always put a nice note, of course, to the client. Because the other interesting thing is most of the times, unless sometimes offers are made, I don't know if you've had that on paintings, and there's a little bit of back and forth with the person who's interested in the artwork. And then oftentimes you really don't know until you ship it to them, who is this mystery buyer or collector?
Yes.
And that's when Saatchi will say, okay, you're sending it to, Pasadena, California. Here's the person's name.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. I mean, because sometimes you get, you lose that with, some galleries because there's, this protection aspect, right? That they don't want you going around that, because they need to get their piece.
We were talking about like exclusive versus non-exclusive. The one more little bit of plug, which is genuine for Saatchi, is I think it's fair to say there's trust on both sides of the transaction. From the collector, the painter, the artist, because we know we're going to get paid. They know they're going to get the artwork. They know it's legitimate. You're not going to be paid in Bitcoin. It's all real. So there's a lot of trust that's built in that, like is...
The other thing I'd like to say about Saatchi, too, is they don't charge a 50% commission. It's less.
Yes.
It's like 35%, I think, is what they...
They only charge me 10.
Oh, they know you.
But yeah, it's 40% or 35.
Yeah.
And they also, there's the ability for someone to make you an offer on something too?
Yes. Yes. So
interesting.
I've never had a bidding war. That would be a nice thing to have. But it's good. It's good, I think, in all respects. And one more kind of positive I just thought too is, as an artist, I don't know what your experience is, I'm sure similar, but it has allowed me to reach an audience that I never would have. I talked about Singapore. I mean, I'm not going to Singapore and bringing my palette. Exactly.
Streets,
So,
it's a little different.
I've been lucky. I've been able to sell now in 10 or 11 countries.
Nice. That's awesome.
Nice. And only 3 of them have I actually, stepped foot in.
And no, aside from you building the palette, I mean, they help you with the logistics of getting the painting over to
Great question.
Singapore.
They handle the logistics. The only part that, as an artist, you have to do is you have to box it or crate it up.
Interesting.
So they don't
and from
do
a
that.
consumer standpoint, I mean, you're just logging on and getting
They'll
the
give you
great
the UPS address to put it on.
Right. So they send DHL over to pick it up, or FedEx or UPS or whoever.
So they
give you
arrange the transport and pickup of it. You just have to have it crated.
And so it is important in international sales. Again, no one gets, shortchanged. And then also in some countries, the seller of the gallery has to testify, they're not illegally selling artwork out of the country because they deal in all countries really. So Saatchi sells, in the Italian market to America and Nigeria and everywhere like that. But anyway, so they handle the customs is what I'm trying to say. And the tariffs and whatever's like that. And that we never see, so we don't have to worry about that.
And is that all baked into the commission that they take?
It is. So you could say that's part of the value. That's why I'm willing to give up, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
If I have a piece of artwork that's on sale, for sale at Saatchi, I'm not going to market somebody and say, hey, you can get it from me directly or whatever. I have other art that people can contact me directly on.
Nice.
So I think it's a good relationship.
It is, they're good. And like you say, they're professional and you're not going to get scammed by them. It's not like, I remember one time someone emailed me, I'm sorry, and then just, gave me this thing. My wife looked on the website, saw here's a check and for $5,000, keep the change, send me the painting. And so before I sent the painting to them, I went to the bank and I said, it's strange that he's in Seattle and the check is drawn in Kentucky. And
some red flags there.
Right there, right? So, I went to the bank and I said, that's a stolen check. So he never got his painting. But those scams are over. I mean, not necessarily, it's completely a different league.
They're all on Instagram now.
There's
so many scams on Instagram. and probably Facebook, but I see it mostly on Instagram. You get people immediately, I'm going to pay you all this money for your art.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then you're like, okay, how are you going to pay? And like, I can only pay by this weird system where I give me your bank account number or something.
Yeah. I'd love to make this an NFT. I'd love to.
Yeah, there's a lot of NFT buyers who aren't
yeah.
actually buyers. They're just scam artists. So.
I had one where, through Instagram, my husband's birthday is coming up. I love your work. Can you send me a list of your portfolio? I want to surprise him.
I saw that too. I saw that
Because it's copy paste.
Yeah.
So did they like your artwork? Did you send it out?
No, it was, I think it came to our
like
email,
the fourth floor
artist
Oh, really?
email.
Yeah, we get a lot.
That's so funny.
Any art-based Instagram account gets those scammers.
Yeah.
So no matter, they don't care what
They're
you're
broad.
doing.
Yeah, I'm on several abstract groups on Facebook, and I always get people like, watermark all your stuff, watermark everything, just because that's exactly what happens. Is they go and they take your picture that you've put up to show off how it looks, and they just use that picture to sell nothing. And people get these blank canvases or a cheap poster-like print of your artwork that you get no credit for, or get worse off, your name's still attached to it. Now it looks like you're sending out cheap poster pieces of these fine art pieces you're marketing. So,
because I would recommend, and I'll say it publicly here too, and I'm curious what other people think about it too, but I think time to time it's a good idea to Google your name and put in art or artwork after or artist and see what it hits. Because I've come across some which they seem to be almost like wholesalers buy an original Drew Gaffney print. Just the original Drew Gaffney. And, it was like kind of foggy and stuff, but, I can't afford, I'm not going to go after them, but I kind of wonder, like, are they really selling this or are they just trying to lure people in? And I don't know if other people have had this.
Has anyone ever tried licensing? I mean, is that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. And your experience was good or bad? Or
it's been very good.
Good.
Yeah, very good.
Pretty much watermark my stuff if I post it.
yeah.
But again, I think it depends on.
Yeah.
You got to trust people.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to build trust.
Yeah.
The frame gallery, we have implicit trust with you guys because we know you're going to take good care of our work when you frame it, and when you put glass on it. We know it's taken care of, but not every wholesaler or company you can trust. Right?
Exactly.
Well, we've had it happen here. We've had people that order stuff and they don't even open it until they get here because they don't want to ruin it. And then they open it up and it's just, like I said, it's a poster print of something like, this isn't what I ordered. And I'm like, wow. Sorry, I don't know what to, And they're like, this was supposed to be done on canvas, and it was supposed to be textured, and it was supposed to be, and it was just, like it's just a scanned print of it.
Oh my God. Wow.
It's heartbreaking, unfortunately, especially when somebody's excited about getting something done and they've contacted us and made an appointment and set up time. They blocked out an hour to make sure they had enough time to take care of this thing right. And they walk in and 30 seconds later they're walking out the door and calling somebody on the phone to find out what's going on.
As much as I think, selling art online is a really great thing that should happen if it's legitimate. That's what I really like about these local things is that their trust is almost immediate when you see something in front of you.
And it's always different seeing something in person too versus having to see a 2D image of something scanned, and colors are always sometimes different. Lighting in the room may not be perfect, and seeing it, we were talking about for digital submissions for some art shows and things, you don't get the scale or the proper proportion of, like, say, something your size versus something, like this size. You put them on a screen together, well, they look exactly the same. But, you get a different whole feeling of seeing something in a 5-foot size to a 10-inch size,
And small work, too. Small work, you tend to want to get closer to it. And if it's on a screen, you're not going to put your face up to the screen.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. So if it can be up to the piece, up close and personal, it helps.
Plus, in other mediums like jewelry and sculpture and things that are 3-dimensional.
Right.
I know. I'm sure you like having the personal contact with a collector or a buyer too, because they can see what you have.
Absolutely. I think, well, for me, my work doesn't photograph as well as a photo or a painting. Because of the 3D dimension.
Yeah, you have dimensionality too.
Also, glass is really hard to photograph.
And a lot of times the way the light hits, if it's if it's got some translucent glass or whatever it is. So seeing it and being able to hold it up in different lights, that makes a big difference. And again, having nice lighting in my studio really helps. So.
Seeing how it looks on the,
Right. And people being able to try it on to see if it works for them.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a website. I do have an Etsy store, but I really don't focus much on it because I really enjoy having that interaction with people in my studio space.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's just always nice when you have, a repeat person come in. Yeah. It's always a nice compliment to have someone say, "Oh, I like your work." And
a collector.
Yeah, even if they don't purchase something every time, just the fact that they came in to see it, I'm always floored by that. Right. So, it's just I just like being there physically. And
I'd love to add something to that. And Rob, I'm sure you can talk more about this too if you want. The only open studio I've done so far, Sandpaper Camp. One of the coolest experiences I had that day were 2 or maybe 3 sets of children came into the studio, and they were like, I was like, go ahead, touch it, it's fine. Some painting's actually this hard, and it's made with concrete, you might hurt yourself, but no, the rest. But feel free to touch it. But it was the coolest thing to interact with these kids and see their reaction to like art. And one was like, I could do that, and I love this color and that. And it was just, I just kind of let them go.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking to them the way I might an adult who, might have some serious interest. Yeah. I was just like, go, just, kind of play. Don't pick anything up, but,
it's probably really interesting with the kids. Were really there.
What's that?
It's probably my kids were in there at some point.
Those were the very well-behaved ones.
Yeah, they are.
I think it was a couple of years ago. When we first started up again after the pandemic, I think I heard, I wasn't with them because I was in the Sandpaper Factory, but over at the Wright Building, they got a little nutty over there. Kids can only be in an art studio building for so long.
Yeah.
But we do sometimes have a kids' art table.
We are going to have a kids' art table at this event as well, but it's not a lot, but it's going to have some
enough to keep them contained.
Distraction.
We're going to have some coloring pages and I think like a coloring mural type thing.
Nice.
Yeah, enough to keep them entertained for a little while.
It'd be cool to have one that you could have each kid just contribute a little something to and have this one final. Yeah.
But I think kids do get a lot out of this kind of stuff too. I don't know.
So on that weekend, the 29th and 30th, you guys expect to at least interact with a lot of people?
Yeah. Definitely a lot of interaction.
I don't know.
Last
would you say
spring was
800
fantastic.
to 1,000 people?
Yeah.
Last spring was phenomenal.
It was.
Yeah, I heard.
We had such a great turnout, and then this past fall was even better.
That's awesome.
So, it's free, so that's always good. People can just
That's a big draw.
By.
Yeah.
And it's,
it's 30 years running now, so people know about it.
Yeah, they do.
I still get people who are surprised. I didn't know this was here. They've been doing in Rockland all their lives and stuff like that.
We get it every day. People don't realize the second floor. You mean the stuff upstairs?
Somebody that's been here for 10 years shopping.
Wow.
That's who I was. I went to an open studios in probably 2018 or something, and I knew there was a group in town. I had gone to one, I think maybe when it was back at the Cobbin building, a long time ago, and I kind of just didn't really think about it much. And then I came to one of the open studios, oh wow, and I grew up in Rockland. And I didn't realize how much stuff there was. So, and I was what you're saying, you bring people to your studio and they, I gotta come back here. That's how I felt the first time I came in. Yeah. I was so amazed that this is all in Rockland. I couldn't believe it the first time.
And now you're the president of the floor artists.
Not even that many years later, and now I'm the president. And that's kind of the cool thing too. There's not a lot of barriers to entry, I don't think, in our group.
I remember the first year when you were there, because I was in the same gallery. We were both kind of the new associate members.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And I was still kind of feeling out what it was all about at that point, but I felt like it was just very welcoming. So
that's what I felt.
There was no if you wanted to be involved, it's there for you to do what you want to do with the group, I think.
Yeah.
So
I remember one story. I was in open studios in the Wright building there, which used to be a shoe factory. And these 2 women came in. One was probably in her 70s and the other was in her 90s. And they both worked when it was a shoe factory. And they were just telling the history of the whole place. Well, this was over here, and we didn't have anything.
That's fun.
It was it was very interesting to get to get the history of what Rockland was. In the 1930s, let's say.
Right.
When Rockland and Brockton were all the king of the shoe factories in this particular area. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, you said it was Alan that owns
Alan Curtis.
Alan Curtis. Now, what's his interest in actually, is he like he's a lover of the arts? Or is,
he's a professional landlord. I mean, he runs a real estate company based out of Boston. Yeah. So he manages or owns and manages, I believe, several properties.
It sounds as though he's involved and interested in, in the arts as well.
That.
Or is he trying to just
he
make
loves
money?
the art. Yeah. He loves the arts. Yeah. And I think he really connects with artists, and he wanted to find a place for artists, and he couldn't be more supportive.
Oh my God,
we couldn't have a better landlord.
Super just nice.
Can't do any better without running your own museum. So you just
right? No, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he kind of stays out of the inner workings
like
of
you say, low key. Interested in the arts.
But he's very attentive to the building and keeping it up and maintenance, and was very open to the signage that Rob designed and installed, the fourth floor artist, and the Sandpaper Factory sign out front and everything. So he certainly, to sound squishy about it, I think we're kind of in concert with him. Our best interests are his best interests.
Sure.
He wants the building to do well. He wants artists to be satisfied and people to come there. And he's, so open as far as outside people and visitors coming in. There's no issue with that.
Well, that's
so
awesome.
I don't think we can say enough good things about our experience with him.
I mean, that's probably one of the reasons for all the success, just keeping the building going as well as it has,
And parking pretty easy on that weekend, or is there so many people that it gets?
That can be a little tough.
I would tell people to park down the street and take a little walk. Yeah. It might be a little less hectic.
Yeah, there is a parking lot, but right across the street is Franklin Street, which runs kind of perpendicular with the building.
So on street parking might be the way to go.
It's a pretty long street, and it's all open parking, so people can definitely park
We run into that situation here. We have to tell people, it's like, the post office closes at 5, and so, it's just over there.
But ordinarily, day to day, there's plenty of parking.
Oh, yeah. Right.
People are coming and going.
That's good, but I think we covered everything, unless there's anything else you guys like to bring up. I think it was a great
couple
conversation.
Events that are coming up.
We do have an event coming up after Open Studios.
Yep.
We have another food and art night.
Yes.
June 3rd.
Nice.
Is Saturday night, June 3rd, 6:30 to 10. We have kind of a tropical themed menu.
Oh.
I don't know if I want to divulge any part of the menu. I was given the secret menu.
Ooh. Oh, no.
Should I sort of let you know a couple
give
things?
Us a couple teas.
All right, I'll give you a couple things. Savory shrimp lettuce wrap with pineapple salsa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a little tropical theme going.
Definitely hits tropical.
I don't know.
Okay.
But there's somebody cooking.
Okay. It's not my husband.
It's not. But we have mango coconut cheesecake for dessert.
Nice.
So that's just a couple.
That's worth coming for.
A couple, right?
Yeah.
Dessert.
I know. And there'll be 4 artists that will be in the gallery that night. I am one of them. And do we want to divulge artists or just have it be a big surprise?
That's entirely up to you. Now, is there interaction with the artists, or is it like?
Oh yeah,
is it just
hopefully
like
they'll all
works
be there. No, hopefully they'll all be there.
And it's like a sit-down type of meal, or
No. Everyone just stands around
small
there
tables
with their plates. It's like a gallery opening.
I think you could give their names.
Want me to
if
give the names? All right.
Promote a little bit of who's going to be there.
Michelle Provatola, Mary Sheenan Wynn, Susan Page Thompson, and myself. Woo-hoo. We will be...
It's an all-star cast.
That's right. Making the gallery look amazing.
And all ladies.
I know. It happens to be. Yeah, I just turned out that way. It's kind of like whoever got back to me was going to get a spot. Because I did reach out to people in the E.T. Wright and the Sandpaper Factory.
Nice.
Some people were around and had other stuff going on. So
the finalized stuff for it so we can get it up on our calendar and hopefully sell up again for this night.
Oh my God, Jason's on it. He just got all the info today. And I'm happy to share that info with you guys.
I correspond with Jill all the time, so I'm sure we'll get
I think the tickets will be posted on Eventbrite and also obviously on the Fourth Floor Artists website and our Facebook page. So
I think they're $25 again.
Which is really reasonable.
Oh my God, the food was so good.
For what I saw from the last one.
Oh my God, it was really
fabulous.
Great. It was fabulous.
And even the setup you guys had for like the walls were just full. Yeah. And even like a few displays were set up. I saw Mary's for sure where she had hers all wrapped around.
At the first one we did, we had the walls were full of stuff. And we kind of like So we had 4 of us, and we just said, like, everyone gets, like, their spot.
Yeah.
Just do what you want
You
with
get
it.
this wall, you get this wall, you get this wall.
And then we also had, like, a table at the front that Jason was selling his sauces, but we also had people could, if they wanted to, put art out, like smaller things that, you know, aren't going to be on the wall.
Sure.
So we kind of had, like, a mixture of stuff like that. But yeah, that was kind of like, it was kind of like a curated thing where everyone kind of has their own kind of area to put together.
Well, that's nice though. That way you can kind of display it the way you want to have it shown off and displayed. You know,
and not one person has to do all of the.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite the undertaking.
Right. Coordinate these 4 different type of arts all together and make it work cohesively. Yeah, no, it's
nice. Well, so we get the open studios on the 29th and 30th. Then shortly thereafter, we have the. What is the name? Food and Art Night. Food and Art Night.
Yeah, June 3rd.
Okay, June 3rd. Nice. I certainly appreciate you guys coming by, and I know you'll keep Scott posted on all things that are going on up there, and I'm looking forward to getting over there on the 29th and 30th, maybe having my portrait done.
Sounds good.
Maybe we'll have a portrait of Scott and Elizabeth as well,
Take home a tray or a photo or some jewelry or something like that.
We'll come to spend,
exactly.
We can find a parking space.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, no, you're
really
glad you guys can come. This is a great setup, too. We're nice to know we can do a large group like this and have it work out. So
everyone was well behaved. No
anybody that wasn't, we edited out. But no, I want to thank everybody for coming and congratulations on 30 years for the building there. It's a great group of people, it sounds like, and hopefully I'll get on that waiting list and be able to join you guys. So, but thank you everybody for listening with us today, and we'll see you next time.
All right, see ya.